Welcome to a stress-free coding tutorial. Today we will continue to talk about Angular with part 8. If you haven't seen my previous video in which I talk about how to easily set up a web server based on node.js and how to expose a get method to read data from REST API, take a look. I'm stoked, so let's start our way because this part will be full of interesting contents. In fact, I tell you about HTTP client, server request, observable, subscribe. Hey, stop. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating. Let's take this one step at a time. HTTP client. Today we will to face some concept a bit complicated but necessary to make Angular communicate with the API, so don't send me to hell. Whenever we want to receive data from a server or transmit data to a server that expose APIs, both REST API and Web API, we will have to use an HTTP client that allows us to communicate by a remote URL. Angular has its own client to integrate in application. Let's see how to integrate it into our Angular application. First, we'll modify app.module.ts, adding this import. HTTP client module from Angular common /HTTP. Then we had the HTTP module reference and the imports metadata array. HTTP client module. Okay, HTTP client module will allow us to inject an HTTP client into our service or in another service or component of a project through dependency injection. In this way, we provide an HTTP client parameter to the constructor of a data provider service. Private HTTP colon followed by the type HTTP client, not client module. Click on the blue light bulb icon and apply just the fix. Add import. Observable concept. The HTTP client service make use of observable mechanism for all transactions. Observables provide support for passing messages between parts of your application. They are used frequently in Angular and are a technique for even handling asynchronous programming and handling multiple values. We must import the RxJS observables and operator symbols in this way. Import observables from RxJS. RxJS stands for Reactive Extensions for JavaScript. Is a library for reactive programming using observables that makes it easier to compose asynchronous or callback-based code. Now we replace return of a JSON string with the get call of a web server like this. Return this dot http dot get method, okay. Article list array, HTTP localhost 2022. Well, the type of return must be indicated in angle brackets, and the endpoint of URL of a get method must be passed as parameter. In this way, will not be enough to write that the type of data returned by the function is a simple array of article, but we will have to specify that is an observable array list array. Subscribe concept. Now let's modify the component and replace the constructor call with this call in the ng option method. This data provider is the name of service. Get the article list is the name of method return article list. Dot subscribe is data source equals data. The observable instance in our data provider service begins publishing values only when someone subscribes to it. We subscribe by calling the subscribe method of the instance, passing observer object to receive notifications. In the parentheses, I use a particular expression. This form of code is called arrow function expressions. An arrow function expression is a compact alternative to a traditional function expression with some semantic differences. With this code, we are not saying anything other than the return data from the subscribe method, and we pass it to the data source of the HTML table. Let's save everything. Now, start a web server project in a new instance of Visual Studio Code and start it with the command node index.js. If everything is correct, we should see our article list again. Okay, that's all for today. Like and subscribe to the channel for the next free stress coding video. Bye.